Hello, my name is John Barton, and welcome to the IIBV class in International Cost of Capital. The IIBV is the International Institute of Business Valuers, and they are sponsoring this course. The International Cost of Capital is a topic which theoretically applies to every valuer, no matter where you are practicing in the world. Typically, the material in this course is going to be more relevant to practitioners probably outside of North America. Within North America, many of the valuation assignments, perhaps most of the valuation assignments, are going to look at cost of capital from a United States perspective. So each of the components in the calculation of a cost of capital are going to come from United States economic metrics. Outside of the cost of capital, though, outside of the United States, though, typically when we're deriving a cost of capital, we have to look at risk from a multi-country perspective. So, for example, if you're a practitioner in Finland and you're valuing a company in Finland, and the company in Finland sells product across the European Union, across Eastern Europe and beyond, theoretically that company has to capture the risk of all of those cash flows. Okay, to do that, we have to look at the risk of the countries in the European Union, in the Eurozone, countries that are outside of the Eurozone, any country to which that subject company sells to. The ease of valuation within the United States is that many of the assignments are of companies that sell all of their product or all of their services within the United States. That's a relatively easy assignment relative to that Finnish company. So when we're looking at international cost of capital, we're primarily going to focus in on the topic of what is the country that the subject company is operating in or the subject company is selling to. What is the risk of operating in that country? And we're going to add that to the cost of capital. We're going to isolate the country risk and add that to the cost of capital. So to do that, we're going to look at 4 different models: the relative volatility model, the country credit rating model, the country yield spread model, and the de Modern model. Okay? And in each of these models, there is a similarity in each of these models, is that most of them start with the capital asset pricing model. So the capital asset pricing model, we assume that you're familiar with the capital asset pricing model. Then the capital asset pricing model, the cost of equity equals the risk-free rate plus the beta times the equity risk premium plus alpha being size risk and specific risk of the subject company. So that's how we arrive at the cost of equity. But in a country credit rating model or the relative volatility model, et cetera, and what these models are going to do is they're going to take that calculation and somehow form a way of isolating country risk and adding that country risk to that capital asset pricing model. So the objectives of this course are to understand the limitations of the capital asset pricing model. We'll talk about those. Review the fundamentals of the CAPM to make sure we're all on the same page as to what the CAPM does, what it represents. Know how country risk affects prospective cash flows. So what is the country risk of operating in the United States versus operating in Serbia or Turkey or Russia or China? Okay. There are different risks. Okay, so the same identical company operating in the United States versus China, but it's not going to necessarily have the same cost of capital, the same cost of equity. Know how to quantify country risk. Be able to identify the challenges in developing the cost of capital and look at these 4 models, the methodologies in each of the 4 models that we'll talk about in this course.